The way you experience life, you don't experience life. You experience the life you focus on. And what you focus on is based on beliefs and values. Whatever you believe, you tend to see that. Close your eyes. Before I close your eyes, look around the room and see everything that's brown, everything behind you, around you, clothing, anything on the walls, books, anything. And then say, close your eyes and tell me everything you saw that was red. People usually smile. They say a lot more brown than red. Then I open their eyes and look for red, and guess what? They find plenty of red. Well, you get what you look for. So our beliefs, our values, our rules that determine whether we experience heaven or hell inside, they're all internal. So it's like we can't control the external world, we can influence it. We have total control of this internal world, but most of us don't know how. People change their beliefs. I don't tell them what to believe. They discover what's limiting them. They shift their values to what's more consistent with where they are. And instead of being pulled apart, like, I want to make, everybody happy and be honest simultaneously. I want to make $1 billion and sleep till noon. We help people resolve the inner conflicts, create a compelling future, and be in control of their own life. So you got to shift the way the body's being used, but then also you have to create a compelling future. This is the way I look at it. I look at it as 5 to thrive. I'm going to give you a little picture in your head. Think of a triangle, the first base of 3 things. The base of how you use your body affects your depression or your excitement. If someone's depressed or they're excited, they use the body differently. They breathe differently. They move differently. They speak differently. So you can make a biochemical change just by changing the body radically enough in the way you move. Second is what you focus on determines what you feel. If you're supposed to meet your husband or wife at 7 p.m. for dinner and you get there and they're not there, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, what do you feel? Well, some people go, I'm angry. Some people go, I'm worried. Well, it's only 7, Well, let's say it's 7:30 and they've not shown up. They've not called. They not text. Well, now some people go, I'm really worried. I'm really pissed off. It's 8:30. They haven't called. I'm full, a woman tells me, right? I didn't wait for the bastard. But my point is, whether you're angry or whether you're worried, those are biochemical effects, but they're all based on what you focused on. If you were really angry, like they did it again, they're probably screwing around with somebody else. If you imagine that in your mind, you're going to be upset. But if you were worried, you thought, what if they're in a car accident? You're going to get a very different biochemical effect. But people have habits of what they focus on. And those habits become your biochemical habits as well. The human brain is a distortion, deletion, and generalization device. Your conscious mind can only handle so many things at once. You're not thinking about your clothing touching your skin or the sound of your heartbeat till I mention it. All those things I have to call your attention to because your brain is deleting most of what's going on so it's not overwhelmed consciously. So if you're really happy, you're deleting all the things that could piss you off or make you worried. If you're really worried, you're deleting all the things you could be grateful or happy about. And we tend to generalize our lives because we're cognitive misers. We don't want to think things through. So if you have strong physiology, strong focus, then the third piece is meaning is what creates emotion. Like if somebody says something and you go, they're disrespecting me, or they're challenging me, or they're coaching me, or they're loving me. Well, whichever word you select for those sensations in your body, your biochemistry becomes. And so, somebody might say, this happened to me because God's punishing me, or this happened to me because God's challenging me, or this problem's here because it's a gift from God, or someone else says it has nothing to do with God. It's the fact that I've been a lazy bastard, right? Whatever it is you do in your head, there is a biochemical effect. So there's the body, there's the focus, and there's language. Those 3 shape how you feel moment to moment. If you're excited right now, using your body, your focus, and your language in a different way than if you're pissed off, than if you're worried, etc. But then what makes you use these 3 once you understand them is you need what's called a compelling future. And it's got to be a compelling future about more than just getting by. That's not compelling, or surviving, or doing okay. The secret to anyone who succeeded is they found something they care about more than themselves. Something that has meaning for them that they want to serve more than themselves. Because as human beings, if you get in your head, you're dead. Almost all of us can find something to be upset about. That's the nature of the mind. The mind is constantly dissecting things, separating, comparing. But when you look back and you take a look at somebody's life and you look at the totalitarian aspect of what am I here to serve? What am I here to give? What am I being called to for life? Those are the people that, were in concentration camps and survived. You need something that gets you to move forward. And I feel so bad for the generation today, Z generation millennials, because so many of them are now talking about not even having children because of the exaggeration of the problems. We've always had problems. I remember we were going to run out of oil, where the ozone was going to be destroyed in the 1970s, the cover of Time magazine. We've always had these challenges, and we've always learned to adapt to these challenges, whatever those challenges may be. But people today think these problems are forever because we've had some times here that we've never had where we literally shut down the whole world and had people trapped in their homes. And that has an effect on people because they don't have a compelling future. So you have to develop a compelling future. And what allows you to do that finally is what's under this triangle. If there's a circle, think of a compelling future, and there's the power of identity. Identity is, who are you beyond the problem? There's something inside you that's bigger than anything that's ever happened to you, that ever could happen to you. And tapping in and finding that part of yourself is how you get someone to have sustained strength. You know, if I said, I want to learn Italian, and you have the money and time, and I dumped you in Rome and said, I'll see you in 90 days, 90 days from now with no teacher, you'll speak fluently because you're in it, speaking it, breathing it. A belief is a poor substitute for an experience. So you can tell somebody something and they can nod their head and cognitively understand it. That's very different than the visceral experience of getting it in your body where it starts happening automatically. People only change in an altered state. You know, most people, think, hypnosis is something that people do to them. Most people are living in a hypnotized state. You know, if you watch somebody, you ever driving your car and then something catches your attention, you kind of focus on it for a while, and then all of a sudden you go, well, you were in a trance. Or you go to a hotel and somebody pushes the elevator and it's already lit up and they push the button. They're just in a trance. They're just going through the automatic motions. For most people, about 48% of what they do, science says, every day is automated. So they're not really thinking clearly. They're not open to what's really possible. So you need immersion. And so does it require hunger? Yes. But hunger can be awakened. Somebody can have no hunger, I have no interest, but then they see something that really excites them, or they go through a painful enough moment, or they get an environment where they see what's possible. It's like when people talk about self-esteem, I hate the term, it's so overused, but self-esteem does not come from what other people say to you. Someone can tell you your whole life you're beautiful, you're strong, you're smart, and you cannot trust yourself or not think so. Someone can tell you you're a piece of crap, and you go, I'll show you. And some part of you it grows as a result. So it has nothing to do with what people say to us. Self-esteem is earned by yourself, for yourself. It comes from doing something that's incredibly difficult, and no one else knows it. You know it. And that's why you have esteem for yourself. Everything is conditioning. So the habits you have, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you perceive life is conditioning. Any condition pattern can be changed with new conditioning, and it doesn't take as long if you know what you're doing. You know, they did research at UC Irvine years ago, and I don't support this research, but this is what they did. They take a monkey and they tape down 4 of his fingers, and then they just bend his finger manually 10,000 times. So if you do this right now, if people at home say, if they say, well, your finger, how'd you do that? They go, I don't know, I just thought it. Well, when they untape the monkey's finger, guess what? He does this for no good reason. It's conditioned. Imagine every time you bend the finger, you're putting a thread of connection between neurons, nerve cells in the brain. It's not fancy. Just think of nerve cells. Do it again, 2 strings. 10,000 times, you're wired, right? Well, some people are going on the way to work every day and they get off on the same on-ramp, but one day they're on the phone and they don't need to go that off-ramp and they get off on it automatically, right? They're like a monkey. They've been trained. But what UC Irvine found is they could interrupt this pattern and they could create a new pattern, and it didn't take 10,000 bends to do it if they stimulated the pleasure center of the brain. If they stimulated the pleasure center while they bent the finger, they got like 100 strings of connection. So 24 of these produce what they used to get from 10,000. So I use that principle in what I do. That's why people enjoy it so much. It's not a pain-driven experience. It's a pleasure-driven experience. Because listen, your brain's going to avoid pain any way it can, and it's going to move towards pleasure. Well, if I can get you to link pleasure to what you need to do so it doesn't take willpower, because look, willpower never lasts. I got a lot of willpower. I know you do too, but there's a limit to willpower. There's no limit to when you link pleasure to something, how far your body, mind, and soul will push towards it. So it's really changing what you link pain and pleasure to that creates lasting change. Is everything. Energy equals progress. If your energy is super high, you will do things you will never do. If your energy is low, you can be the smartest person in the world, have the best heart, and not follow through. Here's the challenge. We just spent years with COVID where most people around the planet were cooped up in their house, told they should never get within 6 feet of another person, or people screamed at them, which, by the way, there was no science for whatsoever. For you, you wouldn't be here if that was you, but I'll bet, without even being aware of it, your energy is lower than it was in 2019 for most of you. You wouldn't even notice it. Because it's, that silly metaphor they talk about, if you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps right out. We've all heard it, right? But if you turn it up slowly, they boil to death. That's in essence what's happened to our energy. Now, how important is that? Sounds like a subtle thing. It's subtle on the outside, but it's big in its results. Let's take an example that's easy. Who do you want to work with in business? Somebody like a big problem happens out and they go, I don't know, what should we do? Or somebody goes, move, I'll handle it, right? It's a different world. Someone has a different certainty, a different energy. That experience everyone can have, but when you're low energy, it won't show up even when you're capable. And so I'll give you an example, a relationship. Let's say there are two people. They totally love each other. I mean, totally head over heels in love with each other. No exaggeration. And they're in a relationship. And they both are living their life at peak levels of energy. They've taken care of their body. They push themselves. They're strong. They go for it. So two people totally in love, madly in love, super high energy. What kind of relationship can you predict they'll have? Boring, slow, ugly, okay, or freaking magnificent? Same two people, totally in love with each other, and now they've let life kind of wear them down a bit. And now they're down, they're not up here, they're down here where, it's like, how you feeling? Like, okay, how you doing? Pretty good. How are you? Better than dead? Are they going to have the same relationship? Yes or no? Is this going to be a magnificent relationship? Even though they totally love each other, is it the same relationship? Yes or no? At best, it's going to be good. What happens? Same two people, totally adore each other, love each other, but they let life wear them down and they got used to being lower energy. They talk all the time about how stressed they are because they are. They talk about it. They're focused on it. They're there all the time. There's plenty to be stressed about. There's always something that's wrong that you can find if you look for it. There's always something wrong. There's always something right if you look for it, right? It's not positive thinking. It's just being intelligent. But let's say their energy's low. They're exhausted, taking the kids to soccer or to football, I know what we call soccer is your football, right? And taking to dance classes and the business has some cash flow challenges and, grandma's a little sick and they both get really worn down and now both in a lousy energy, low energy, lousy state. Is it going to be a magnificent relationship even though they love each other? Yes or no? It's not even going to be good. So my point is, our energy is everything. But here's the challenge, and I'm sure you've experienced this. How many of you have days when you wake up in the morning and your brain says, let's go get him, and your body says, I can't get out of bed? Or how many of you have days when you wake up in the morning and you think to yourself, I don't want to talk to people today? But if you don't talk to people, your business doesn't grow, your career doesn't go anywhere, your family doesn't go anywhere, you don't go anywhere. And if you think it, how are you doing? I'm good. Aren't you good? Yes, we're good. We all know fake, right? There's so much fake in our society. I mean, even reality television is fake. People are starving for something real, right? So what do you do if you're exhausted and you know you need the energy? Well, the answer to that question is based on where do you think energy comes from? From food? We should talk. How many of you in this room can remember a big holiday season meal that you had? And when you have that food, you probably just say, I'm going to eat perfectly. I'm going to eat really only the best food, lots of vegetables. Is that what you do? Now, how much food do you eat on those festival type days? More than the body can withstand. And by the way, how do you feel after all that food? You feel like going out there and playing football? What do you feel like doing? Lying down on that couch and watching that boob tube, right? Because your energy goes to the floor. You know why? Because food is not the source of energy. It is a source, not the source. Of course, food's important. But most people, do you ever see people after lunch? Is their energy higher or lower usually? It's lower because the way most people eat, like I teach this in my seminars, it literally causes you to lose energy. Because digestion done ineffectively takes more energy than anything else in your body. That's why you don't feel like making love after that big meal, or you don't feel like going and running on your business or helping your kids. It's like, I need a little break right now. Okay, I got a question for you. I know the first day is hard, mostly mental, right? You think it's physical. But after 3 days, does your energy increase with no food or decrease? increases. How do you explain that? Because food's not the source. So if you haven't eaten, it's okay. But what would be the source of energy if it's not food then? Sleep? Okay, I think sleep's an important thing, but how many have ever slept 8 hours and you were still freaking tired? How many of you have had a day where you were totally exhausted, you didn't have enough sleep, but boom, something happened, you were so excited you were awake all day? Most people don't know what the word competition means. And in its original Latin root, whether it's translated to German or not, the Latin root means to conspire together. If I'm competing with you, I am conspiring with you to make you better and make me better. If we go play a game and I'm easy on you, you're not going to get better. If you're easy on me, I'm not going to get better. So the reason we compete is to make each other better, to conspire. So we're going to play a little game because if you want to know the source of the energy, it actually is the mind. So it's also, though, not only the mind, it's a habit. And that's the problem with COVID. We have habits we don't even realize we have. So I want you to know how you can snap into this place when you need to, even if you're exhausted. And the way to do that is the way you move. Movement creates emotional change. Movement produces energy. In fact, you know a child, because when they walk into you ever see a kid do this? They walk into the living room like this, and then they go, and they walk out like nothing happened. And you know someone's old because they barely move. No movement is also called death, right? So we want to move, which includes our voice and our face. The way we use our face changes our energy. Our voice does it, but our voice is movement also. If you laugh and enjoy laughing, it's because it creates internal movements that you don't normally make. So singing is the same thing. People love to sing. It's creating that movement. You don't have to let anybody see it. Well, once you open your brain, once your energy's flowing, it feels so much better. Who are you? Not what business are you in or really in or what business you need to be in. Not why are you in the business. Not what do you want from the business. But who are you in your core? And let me explain. All of us in this room have different gifts that we can give, regardless of our business. I have found there are what I would call 3 gifts of labor. And when I say labor, I believe other than my love and other than your love, the greatest gift we can give someone other than our love is our labor. And in my case, my labor is a source of love. I'm trying to love you into the place you get what you want, whether you know it or not. It might sound corny to you, but it's really what's true in my heart. And so it gives me great joy. But there are 3 gifts you can give through your labor. You can first give the gift of being a great artist or talent or a skilled producer. Now, if this is your primary gift, it means that what excites you is creating things. That's what artists do. When I say artist, I don't just mean like someone who paints. Your art might be negotiation. Your art might be writing software code better than anybody else. Your art might be designing fashion better than anybody else. These people live to produce some form of product or service or result, and they love to see its impact on people's lives. That is their primary drive and motivation. That's what rewards them. The artist wants to make money, we all do, but the artist will never sell out. They don't really want to sell the business. When I talk about selling a business, all the artists look at me with this confused look like, why would I do that? This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that limits to what you're going to build in the business if that's the only filter you use. Now, the second gift that you could give someone is the gift of being a manager or leader. If you're a manager or leader, your labor, your skill, your ability is really to manage people and processes. And people that are manager leaders, they love to manage people. Artists usually get frustrated with too many people because they just want to create what they want. But a manager leader loves it. And they don't just love managing the people, they love managing the process, feeling to make it better. They're about building a system, which, by the way, a business is a system for adding value. An organization is only a system, because if you leave and there's no system, there's no business. But if there's a system, it'll go on even when you're not there, whether it's McDonald's or GE. So you can replace the people and it still works. That's a system. Manager leaders are outstanding at that. The third person is what we call an entrepreneur, or a better term would be a massive risk taker. Because most of you in this room consider yourself to be an entrepreneur, but I would argue to you that maybe the language would be more accurate is you're entrepreneurial, meaning you enjoy creating things, including lots of different companies, but that's not an entrepreneur. What makes them an entrepreneur is they're in it for the economics and they're in it for the juice of the ups and downs. They actually love taking risks. Ted Turner has been near bankruptcy 6 times. once he went bankrupt.
Can a man in your position lose all his money suddenly?
Sure. Happens all the time.
But 5 other times is near it, and he just got up and did it again. He's juiced about it.
It's spelled fun, W-I-N.
That's a true entrepreneur. And they're, unlike the artist or the manager leader, they're happy to sell the business. They'll sell the business, and they'll just buy another one, or they'll start another one, and they might like the product, but the product can change. It's not about the product for the entrepreneur. It's about creating this business that they can make money out of and sell. So it's a different mindset. So I have a friend who said to me, well, I'm a medical doctor and I have 3 centers and I'm the best entrepreneur I know. And I looked at him and go, dude, let me help you. What if you had to choose between helping people in 3 locations versus selling the business and making a 10x profit? He goes, I'd never do that. It would be wrong for my patients. I want to be there for all of them. He's just an overproductive artist. And by the way, he makes money, but nowhere near as much as he could because he's not looking to maximize it. He says he does, but it's not his nature. His nature is do more cool things for people, which he enjoys, and he's entrepreneurial. He's more entrepreneurial than the people he knows, but the people he knows are not true entrepreneurs. So here's the truth. If money wasn't a question, what would I do? Would I want to trade things for people, see them light up? Would I want to run the organization, manage people and processes? Do I want to take the risk, be there, sell it, do something else again? What is your nature? Now, you might have all 3 skills, but they're not equal. We all have one that we're better at than the others. And the secret to fulfillment, you can do all 3 of them. But if you're going to be fulfilled, you got to spend the majority of time in your nature. And by the way, under stress, you'll go back to your nature. The artist goes back to working on the products. The manager leader tries to change the organization. The entrepreneur wants to sell it and do something else. That's the nature of the person under stress. And under excitement, you tend to go back here. And most people have stress and excitement in their business. So the question becomes not what do you want, but what's your nature so you're the most fulfilled? See, many of you came here wanting to be an entrepreneur, and you might be better as a skilled artist without all the risks than taking your money and investing in entrepreneurs that are already the best in the world that you'll never be because it's not your nature, and make 10 times your money, 20 times your money, 30 times your money off someone else who takes all the risk, who stays up all night, who never breathes, who finds the way to do it while you party and do what you love. And many of you have not considered that. So the real question is, what's your nature? If you can align with your nature, you'll eliminate so much stress. If you align with your nature, you're going to be 10 times more fulfilled. If you align with your nature, you're going to be 10 times more effective. But most of us have got our egos involved because of the conditioning of society. And we say, I want to be that entrepreneur. I want to be the guy that starts Google or Apple or whatever the case may be. And chances are that's not what you're going to do. You can still build a great business. But those things are usually not what most people experience. So which of these is you at your core? Because the question we're going to answer is this. Who are you in your true nature? Now, I have all 3 of these skills, but they're not equal. And I'm not fulfilled equally by all 3 of them. But here's what I've done. I've surrounded myself with people that have the other skills, and I've gotten really good at being an entrepreneur. But guess what I still love most? This. So what do? I've developed that skill. I know how to do it. And in those other businesses, I've surrounded myself with great manager leaders and great entrepreneurs. And I'm a great entrepreneur, but I'm not as great as them because I'll never maximize the profit at the highest level because I want to do more for the customer. It's my nature. So I divorced myself from some of those businesses in that area. I'm the strategist. I bring the value there, but I don't get in the way of decisions. Like, bottom line is I have different people as partners. I play a different role in those places based on the goals of what I want to accomplish in those areas. I'm the last person that would limit you. And so you can only be this. I hope you know that about me. But I also want you to be fulfilled. Because in the end, the money's not going to do it. The situation's not going to do it. It's aligning with what fulfills you that'll make you fully alive. And if you do that really well, you can also make more money than you can imagine. But you got to know your true nature and you got to align with it. So the question we're going to answer is this. Who are you at your core? What fulfills you most? And who do you need?